Hey everybody, in this video series, we're gonna be talking about the mechanics of the golf swing and how it relates to the numbers that you get on the Mevo Plus. Wanna help you make your investment into your launch monitor, actually improve your game. That's why many of you buy them, is to get that and be able to see those improvements and make some of the correct adjustments so you can get better faster. So, as we start this series off, we're gonna start working on one of the most important elements I think you can look at when you are using the FlightScope Golf app on the Mevo Plus. Again, this is something I think is pretty universal across launch monitor technology, and I'll talk about those differences as we go. Again, having used pretty much all of them, I'll talk about those differences that you see in different softwares, but we're gonna be looking at it from a practical view. I'm also going to give you a theoretical view of how we look at the golf swing to make these changes happen. So today, we're going to get started with some horizontal launch angle, how that ball's starting in relation to the target line. I think that's a critical factor to good golf. So let's get into it. So as we go through this video series, we are going to be talking about some general concepts, things that I think people can do on a general level across the board. You see this stuff, again, through our 3D research, through watching swings for many, many years. Now, if you're somebody that needs help with your own game or more personalized, make sure you check out our online lesson packages at Scott Owen Golf or on the Skillest app. Been helping out many people with their golf game, seeing lots of great improvements. Make sure you head over there and get help with your game if you need it. All right, so we're in the bay. We're gonna work with the Mevo Plus. So again, I'll try my best to make sure I point out some ways you can see this on different launch monitors throughout this series. This isn't a Mevo Plus thing. This is using any home technology to get your game better. So first thing we're gonna look at here today, this is on the grid for the dashboard just for your Mevo Plus, is just launch horizontal. I think this is one of the most important numbers you can work on and have an understanding of how can you get this under control and then get the shot shape that you kind of want to go with your shots. So I think really good players are really good at managing the club face. Now, club face, what does that control? That's gonna control mainly where the golf ball starts. Okay, it's gonna mainly control where the golf ball starts, and then it's going to also have an influence on how it curves. Now, the main influencer of curve is the path of the club, but again, over years of teaching, you can't just work on one thing, club face or path, really without working on the other, because they are so closely related to where the ball goes. You have to work on those. So what I wanna do is let's go ahead, let's get the 4D motion out. Let's talk a little bit about what do we see being a really important dictator of how the club path and the face line up, and that's gonna be how our body moves. And let's talk about that, and then we'll come back, let's get some looks into it from a more detailed perspective out here. All right, so we're looking at 4D motion here. So one of the things that we use in golf instruction now, if you're not familiar, is we use 3D capture. So there's a lot of different systems that are out there. You have Gears, you have AMM, those systems, they all work similarly. You know, there's a big golf instruction company that uses this quite often. That's part of their big deal of what they do. It just depends on what you're looking for in the swing. Now, one thing that you want to look at is you do want to look at, you can see that we have a body representation of the swing. We don't necessarily look at that too much. I actually, if anything, would look at a video swing, because again, this is just an avatar. It's just a digital representation of the swing. It's not gonna show us exactly what's going on. What is gonna show us is these green lines and the blue lines and the red lines on the screen. That's gonna show us more about what's going on, and that's where we wanna be focusing our attention. So if we look at the golf swing and we bring it back, this is a player that is a +5 handicap, so safe to say he knows how to keep the ball relatively in play and start the ball online. He hits a draw for the most part. And we're going to look a little bit at, again, a couple of key things. One, where's the club face in the backswing? Because of how his wrist is, we can look at that because we are measuring his wrist. His club face is going to point more down towards the ball at this club parallel in the backswing. Club parallel to the ground in the backswing. Club face is pointing more down towards the ball.
Now, one thing else that happens is, so that's going to help with this club face, but one thing that we also want to look at is you have to have a club path that's relatively close to the club face. I know club path will affect the curve of the golf ball, but from a teaching standpoint, if they cannot get the club path to line up somewhat with the face and they go hand in hand, you can't, same thing, if we had a decent club path but the face was way off, which I see very, very rarely, you would have really, 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 really weird shots. So one thing we want to look at with this player is his ability to manage club path and how does he do it consistently. Again, don't look at the picture. I want you to focus down on the bottom of the screen. There's a blue box that says chest side bend. And you can see at the top of his swing, his body is bent over to the left, which is towards the ball at this point in the swing, 33 degrees. Okay? I want you to watch as he rapidly goes towards the ball. You can see before he even gets open on the left here, the red number, that's going to show whether he is open or closed to the target. He is still closed, but his body in the blue has already changed orientations. He is now bending towards the golf ball before he gets open. I see this very consistently with people that are able to really control the club face. They get their body in a position so all they have to do is let their body open up a little bit through impact. It's going to help keep the face more stable, which means you're going to start it on line more. You're going to have better control. So we'll see him open up throughout that swing, but watch as he's doing this. Again, he's already towards. Let's keep going. At the moment he's striking the ball, notice how this particular player is bending more to the side than he is rotating open. Okay. Now, again, this is something you'll see depending on what the swing is, but with people that do hit draws, they tend to bend more to the right than they are bending or rotating open. People that hit fades and hit slices, they are typically going to rotate more open than they are possibly going to be bending. And it depends on the swing, but we want to work on getting that bend to the right. Again, for a right-handed player, you can see how much he's bending to be able to get to a point where, hey, I can make my way through the shot. So again, you can see how much he is bent to the right. By doing that, that's going to make it a lot easier to control the club face because bend controls the club path getting into the ball. Let's head back over to the simulator. Let's talk about this more in person, more practically. Okay, so you can see as we go through that, if I'm going to be somebody that works on getting the ball to start in a much better way, which is what most players that can play do. They get the ball started in a smaller window, is what we would say. People that struggle, they'll hit shots and they'll see this number read to the left, they'll see this number read to the right. On Flight Scope, what you see is the number reads either to the right, or left, and then on SkyTrack, what you see is that bottom number. It has degrees right or left. Again, you're just trying to get those to be consistent. On GC2, it has the start line on the unit for you. You're trying to get that number to be as consistent as possible. So the two things we have to be able to manage to make that a real possibility is we have to manage the club face and we have to manage the path, which we find is managed by controlling our tilt through the swing. Here's what happens when people don't control their tilt. Let's say we bring it back and people just start spinning and trying to get open. They've heard that. Get open, get open. Well, the problem is that club is going to start darting outside, and when you come down, even if you have the club face in a good position, it's pretty much going to always be a big time pull. I know for me personally, when I work on this, I have a pull issue. Mine's not that dramatic, but it does come from this right shoulder, likes to get out, club's going to steepen up a little bit, and there it goes. Now, if I want to get things under control, what you'll see a lot of players working on, or what they do, is when they get up to the top, one of the first things that we see really good players do is they start to get their body to start bending to the right. So you saw that in the 3D. Before the player ever started to really open up through the swing, they got their body tilted properly so then they can open up correctly.
and be able to be in good shape. What do you see people that do it the wrong way? They start to open up and then tilt. Guess what? That's actually early extension. You are going to extend too soon to try to make up for the fact that the club is not in a very good position. So trying to manage these tilts are really going to help. So if I'm going to hit some shots here, if I want to see, for me, I don't like to see the ball start off left. I hate pulling the ball. So I work on this. Even right now, I'm not 100%. Physically, I'm going to still work on my tilt. Working on my tilt. Let's do another one. That was a good tilt. So there it is. That ball is starting off to the right. Pretty straight shot for me. That's kind of the way I like to play golf. I like to aim it down the left and never be worried about the ball going left. I would rather push the ball out towards my target, and then if I draw it or fade it, whatever we do. So that's where I would manage my tilts. Now let's say I'm somebody that, I don't want to slice it. Well, I'm going to just get the face a little more shut than what I have. So I'm going to manage it in the backswing and get some tilts. There we go. Ball started out to the right, spun back to the left. I'm managing that start line though very well. I'm sticking around 1.5 to 3.5 degrees. A 2-degree spread is actually not too shabby for that type of shot. So if you're at home trying to work with your launch monitor, what would I always work on first? Can you start it online? Is this consistent? Or are you somebody that swings over and then it sometimes starts left, sometimes starts right, because you're always trying to manage the face because the path is so wildly out of control that you have to try to guess where the face needs to be to hit a functional shot? Well, hopefully through this, we can start seeing how we can start managing the golf ball, getting the ball to start online so we have better control of it, and then we're gonna have a better idea of how we're gonna play. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, this is going to be our mechanical swing series, helping you understand what do you need to do in your golf swing to be able to make your numbers better. That's the key. Again, you can go and try to achieve some of these numbers, and that can work sometimes, but there are a lot of different ways to make these numbers appear the way you want them to. But then when you go look at the swing or you go perform with the swing on the golf course, sometimes it doesn't hold up because there's some flaws in how you built your swing to achieve those numbers. So we're just trying to help you address those, give you some ideas to think about as you're going, and see if we can help you out. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, if you like this series, please click that button down below for subscribing. And as always, leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to work on or any numbers you want us to help you can control. Happy to share those with you. And as always, leave us a thumbs up if you like the video. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.